Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. All my life I've always been told that I'm different, but I haven't really interpreted it like I should have. I was interpreted it really bad. Like, I want to be like everybody else, but that's not what God had in store with me. Everybody, my church family, my brothers, my classmates, everyone would say the same thing, that I'm different. I don't know if they meant it in a good way or a bad way at the time, but either way, God was speaking through them to me. Even though I didn't understand it at the time, slowly I'm understanding now that I am different and I want to be different. I don't want to conform to the ways of the world. The other day, I was listening to a song titled Different. In it, he describes why he wrote the song and what it really meant to him. And he said that change your question from God, can you change the things around me, to can you change me so I can handle the things you're walking me through. When you conform to the world, it's hard to do extraordinary things. And God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. This may sound familiar, as Pastor James has been saying it for the past few weeks in his Corning Changers series. But God is going to allow you to walk through things. It's going to grow and change you. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things the people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. I've always gone to church. I've always read the lessons. I've always been that quiet little church girl in the corner, no power behind what I had to say. I was talking the talk, but not walking the walk. Even though there wasn't much talking in there, I was very quiet. But now that I have an actual relationship with God, I have power behind what I have to say. People tell me that they could see God's fire in me. So now when I hear people say that I am different, I say, yes, I am. Like I was saying before, God is going to allow you to walk through things, and it's going to help it grow and change you. Like when Pastor Mike left. That's when I really grew a relationship with God, because I was vulnerable. It was a rough time for all of us to go through, but God knew it would be rough, and he knew it would be hard for all of us. But it's like when you're working the ground, you have to tear out all the old to get the new. You have to till the dirt and work the land. God was tilling us and preparing us for the new beauty he had in store for us. Once that tilling was done, it's time to plant. When you plant something, you know that's not all that grows. Weeds grow there too. But what is the deciding factor of what is a weed and what is a plant? Well, a plant is something beautiful, nutritional, and purposeful. But weeds can appear to have those same attributes too. A good plant can serve many purposes. It's beautiful to look at, may have nutritional benefits, or serves a greater purpose in life. Weeds can have some of those attributes, but weeds can also be dangerous. They could choke out or kill or destroy the other plants. I believe that this is the same for people. Some people are beautiful to look at and serve a greater purpose in life, while others can make decisions to kill or destroy one another. Even though killing and destroying one another, talking about weeds, it's not the same as physically destroying one another. While we can look at a plant and usually identify if it's a plant or a weed, it's not that easy with people. We can't look at a person and see their intention at heart, but God can. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." God sets people in your path to sharpen you, like other believers or just ordinary people you see in the grocery store. But the devil has also set people in your paths too. He sets people in your path to dull you, but it doesn't always work. God works all things out for our good. Even the devil puts things in our path to distract us or to dull us. God just kind of brings us back to where he wants us. But one of the things that the devil puts in our path is being popular. It's a big struggle in our teen years and even beyond. You want to be liked by everybody. Has anyone heard of a Visco girl? These girls it's a trend. Everyone wants to be Visco girl. But, they do certain things that people just think are really cool. I don't know why. Some of the things they do aren't very good. And TikTok. Everyone wants to be TikTok famous. TikTok is an app where people can make videos and post them online, and it depends how good it is to see if people like it. Everyone wants to be TikTok famous. And people even want to be an e-boy and girl. It's basically an emo, but they wear dark clothes, dark makeup, and they have depression. I don't know why people would want depression, but it's popular. It gets them attention. People think these are just little trends that will pass one day, and I'm sure they will, but another one will just take its place. Trends have been around for many years, and goals, same for goals. I hate it when people say the hashtag goals. I don't want to be a follower. I don't want to follow what everyone else is doing. I don't want to have a goal that society sets for me. I want to set a goal with God. I don't want to wear something just to fit in or to be popular. I don't want to say hashtag couple goals on all of my Instagram posts. Now, I'm not saying the things that are popular and society likes are bad, but I'm saying that you should like them for yourself, not because society told you to. I'm not saying that the popular things society likes are not cute and I would never wear them, but I'm just saying like them for yourself, not to follow a trend. It's not your appearance that I'm talking about. It's the mindset you have when you change your appearance for someone else. Trends can be like weeds. They can choke out the difference in you. God created us all to be different. As it says in Romans 12:6, we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is to prophesy, then prophesy in accordance to your faith. Wait. That's not what it says on my paper. So don't get distracted by the things the enemy places in your path. Like this, it completely distracted me. Like it's not at all. Different versions. They basically say the same thing, but not really. Don't get distracted by the things the enemy places in our paths, or else it will choke out or distract us from the things we are called to do. The gifts that God has given us. We each are different. We each have different gifts, but the devil doesn't like it. You see, the devil, I have a theory that if the devil were to have a garden, he would plant all kinds of things. That's what gardens are for. They would be beautiful just the way he wanted them to be. It's something he can control. He can control what grows there. Not really. I have a garden at home, but I don't really control what grows there. All sorts of things grow there. Those weeds come in. But in this case, we're the weeds. We're the weeds that go in and choke out the devil's plants. Not literally. Don't go choking people. Don't go. We are in the world, but not of it. We can choke out the enemy's plans, but remember, we don't battle against flesh and blood. We do this in the Spirit, by His Spirit. The devil may see us and think we're all bad, maybe for his plans, but God puts us there to help His other children, the ones that are lost, the ones that don't know which direction to turn, and then they end up fulfilling the devil's plans for their life. You see, when we go to choke out the devil's plans, not literally, we do it gently and efficiently. When my mom was in her doula class, a childbirth assistant class, she sat right next to this girl who happened to be an atheist. This class was kind of like the devil's garden. That girl was one of the devil's plants, but my mom was a weed that God put there. Lost my spot. They hadn't had problems before, but when a group of them from the class were sitting by a pool, they were just talking about morals they teach their children. But when God got brought up, that lady said all sorts of stuff trying to discredit God, saying He can't be real because her life was so bad. He wouldn't allow that if He was. But this is a common misconception. God gave us free will. Free will. He doesn't control what's going to happen. He can, but He doesn't. He gave us free will because He loves us, and He wants us to love Him back without controlling us or telling us we have to. So after she had this confrontation with this lady, all my mom could say is, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I'll pray for you." My mom could have lashed back and yelled at this lady, but through God, my mom gave a peaceful response. The lady now knew what grace of a Christian was like. Remember, I said gently. About 5 years down the road, my mom started a new job at Life Touch. And guess who she sat next to? The same lady. But since my mom didn't yell at her, she didn't really remember who my mom was. So my mom remembered her, but she didn't remember her, so it gave a clean slate. Like that dirt was all tilled up. There was nothing there yet. Until my mom, the more they bonded together, the more seeds my mom planted in this lady of hope, of love, of God's word. Since my mom showed self-control, they were able to become friends, and my mom was able to help her through the rough times. My mom was able to plant those seeds. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." We're all God's handiwork. He intended us to all do good works. Just like my mom, He prepared in advance how she would handle that confrontation. My mom doesn't talk to that lady anymore, so she doesn't really know if those seeds grew into something greater, but they were still planted. God created us as beautiful plants, but the devil in his garden were weeds. John 16:33. "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." God flat out says you're gonna have trouble. You're gonna have troubles. It kind of reminds me of a saying, being a Christian doesn't change the things you go through, but how you go through them. Being a Christian didn't change the troubles I'm gonna have, but it changed how I'm going to react to them. We're all going to have troubles, but we can't be put down by these things. These troubles are just things the devil is trying to use to distract us, but it's not going to work. Why? Because we're plants of God. This reminds me of a story my brother found. It was about this guy who actually worked for the devil, and he would curse people. The next day, they would be dead. So one day, he got a request to curse someone, and it was for a child of God. But another one of the devil's workers said, "You can't curse them. You can't touch them. You can't touch them. It's not going to work." And the guy was like, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I work for? I can curse whoever I want." But he tried and tried and tried, but it didn't work. He couldn't touch that child of God. We're going to have troubles, but God overcame the world. Now the devil can't touch this. John 15:18. If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. The world, the devil's garden is the world. And as weeds, when you're looking through God's perspective, we're his plants. And the devil's workers are weeds that are going to come in. But when you're looking through the devil's perspective, we're the weeds coming in to destroy. So when you're looking through it with God's perspective, the devil's weeds are going to come in and try and take you down. They're going to try and bring you down. But just remember, it hated him before it hated you. He made it. He still worshipped. And you're made in his image, not anybody else's. So you could do the same. This world is going to hate you for being different. And we know that for a fact. The world hated God. The world hated the 12 disciples. The world hated everyone who followed Jesus Christ. I mean, King Nebuchadnezzar threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into a fiery furnace. It almost makes me want to sing "Must Be Doing Something Right" by Billy Currington. Even though that song is about getting something good, we're getting something bad. But it's almost like confirmation. If you know you're following God's word and the world's going to lash back at you, it's confirmation. Not everyone's going to be pleased with you. Not everyone's going to love you. There's going to be people in the world that are going to hate you. Proverbs 1:15. My son, do not go along with them. Do not set foot on their paths. You will be tempted and put down. The devil sends people to tempt you with those wonders of the world. To some people, fitting in means everything. That's where the mindset comes in. My clothes, I thought they were cute. Not everyone will. But I didn't pick them out just because society told me to. I picked them out because I liked them. I have the mindset of a weed that's going to go and kill. But someone doesn't sound right, but that's what we're going to do. But someone who comes in wearing, has metal straws and scrunchies on, and they got all the get up to fit in with the world, they don't have the same mindset. Fitting in means everything to some people. That's all they care about. Because the devil makes you feel like you're going to miss out on something if you're not doing everything else everyone else is doing. If we don't cave from the temptation, he sends people to put you down. He will try to keep you from realizing who God made you to be. The devil has no power over us, though. Our job is really simple. We just have to give God our will, give him control, and make sure the devil doesn't convince us to reach back for it. It's so easy to say, God, I give it all to you. Take me as I am. But then we just want to hold back. We want to hold it. We don't want to give control to him. It reminds me of my dad. He always jokes around. He'll say, here, do you want this? Do you want it? And I go to reach for it. He won't let go. That's what we're doing with God, though. We give it, but we don't let go. We have to fully give it to God and stop being afraid to be different. Be that difference in the garden. Be that weed that chokes out the bad in the devil's plants. I always heard people talking about certain people when they walk in a room, how they're women of God, they're men of God. It's really true. Like, you could tell when someone walks in a room and they're a believer, it lights up the room. Like I said earlier, you can tell by looking at a garden. You could tell apart weeds from the plants, but it's different with people. But with God's weeds, you can tell. You can tell them apart. Take Purslane. This name might not sound familiar, but it's all over. It's everywhere in Corning. It took me about 2 seconds to find it out in this yard. When you look at it, all you see is an annoying little weed, but on the inside, it's really good for you. Purslane was used for food to survive. It was used for medicine to heal people. God sees the heart, not the outside like the world does. Just like so many people judged purslane for the look of it as an annoying weed, but it's actually something very beneficial in so many ways. So I urge you to examine yourselves. Will you look like every other plant in the enemy's garden, or will you choose to be the weed and fight against his plans? Thank you.
We're blessed by that. Ooh, there we go. Amen. I just want to say how proud I am of Faith. When we first moved here, she would not speak to me for like 6 months. Like, not a word, not even a peep. I'd talk to her, and she would just be like, look at the ground, and and now she's up here proclaiming the